All right, let's dive in. Today, we're exploring attraction.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, we're looking at this article called A Woman Who is Deeply Attracted to You is Always Doing This in Front of You.
Always, huh? A bold claim.
Right. But, hey, we're here to break it down, right?
Absolutely. Let's see what they've got.
So it's all about nonverbal cues, like a secret language.
Ah, so it's not what she says, it's what she does.
Exactly. They've outlined 7 cues, starting with, well, eye contact.
Makes sense. We all kind of know that one, right?
Right, but it's more than just a glance, they say. It's prolonged eye contact.
Ah, that lingering look. I see.
And the article even calls eyes the windows to the soul.
Okay, a bit cheesy, maybe, but
Yeah.
there's something to that, right? That feeling of really seeing someone.
Totally. But how do we know it's not just like someone being friendly
Mm-hmm.
or just naturally expressive?
Good point. That's where the feedback loop comes in, I think. It's not just her looking, it's how you both react, that back and forth.
So if she holds your gaze
Mm.
and you hold hers, it kind of builds on itself.
Exactly. Creating a connection that wouldn't be there with just a quick glance.
Okay, I'm starting to see it. It's not just the look, it's the energy between you.
Okay.
What's next?
Well, think about when you're engaged in a conversation. You lean in, uncross your arms, face them directly.
Right, showing you're interested.
Their article says women do the same when they're attracted. It's like their body's saying, hey, I'm open to this.
But couldn't that just be, good manners?
Possibly. But there's also mirroring.
Mirroring.
Yeah, it's subconscious. We tend to mimic the posture of someone we're connecting with.
So if she subtly mirrors your movements.
Could be a sign, yeah. It's like our bodies are syncing up, trying to create a sense of unity.
Whoa, that's deep.
Uh,
Okay, so we've got the eyes, the body language. What else?
Laughter.
Laughter.
Think about it. When you're with someone you're attracted to, you tend to laugh more easily.
True, even if their jokes are kind of bad.
Exactly. And laughter is contagious, right? It creates this positive feedback loop. Her laughing makes you laugh, which
Good.
reinforces her attraction.
I like it. So it's not just her laughing at you. It's that shared joy, that back and forth.
Right. And it builds on all the other cues, creating this dynamic.
Okay, this is getting interesting. What's next on this list?
This one's a bit more, touchy. Literally.
Oh.
Casual physical touch.
Oh, right, like a touch on the arm or something.
Exactly. Light, fleeting touches. The article suggests it's a way of testing the waters, seeing if there's that receptiveness.
But some people are just naturally more touchy-feely, right?
True, context is always key. But if those touches seem intentional, directed at you specifically...
Could be a sign, yeah. It's like breaking that physical barrier. in a way.
Exactly. Okay, ready for the next one?
Hit me.
Genuine curiosity.
Curiosity.
Not just small talk. Asking deeper questions, wanting to know about her passions, dreams, all that.
Also, it's about really wanting to understand her, not just impress her.
Exactly. It's like investing in getting to know her on a deeper level.
But how do we know it's genuine, not just politeness?
Pay attention to the types of questions she asks. Does she seem truly interested in your answers? Remember things you've said.
Ah, so it's about the quality of the questions, not just the quantity.
Right. It's showing you're invested, that you care about what she has to say.
This is good stuff. What else do we have?
All right, this one might seem superficial, but it's actually quite telling. Subtle adjustments to her appearance.
Like fixing your hair or something?
Exactly. When you want to make a good impression, you might straighten your tie, check your hair.
Right. Put your best foot forward.
The article suggests women do the same when they're attracted. It's that instinct to, look their best for the person they're into.
I can see that. But couldn't it just be a nervous habit? Like I fidget with my hair when I'm anxious sometimes?
Definitely possible. That's why context matters. But if she seems to do it specifically when she's interacting with you...
Could be a sign, yeah. It's like she's trying to catch your eye and make sure you're noticing her.
Exactly. Okay, ready for the last one?
Bring it on.
Nervous energy.
Nervous energy? That's surprising. Wouldn't that be a turnoff?
You'd think so, right? But the article argues it can actually be a sign of attraction.
Really? Explain that one.
Think about it. When you're around someone you like, you might get a little flustered. Play with your hands, stumble over your words.
Oh, right. Those butterflies in the stomach.
Exactly. It's that mix of excitement and apprehension. It's a sign that you're having an effect on her.
So those little nervous quirks, those could actually be endearing.
In the right context, yeah. It shows you're not leaving her indifferent.
Wow, this has been eye-opening. We've covered so much, from eye contact to nervous energy.
Right. It's amazing how much these nonverbal cues can reveal.
But before we get too carried away, How do we actually use this information? I mean, putting it into practice in the real world,
Mm,
that's a whole other challenge.
absolutely. And that's where things get a little tricky. It's about remembering that context is key. These cues, they're just part of the bigger picture. You can't just focus on one glance or touch and assume, boom, attraction.
So we need to look for patterns, not just isolated incidents.
Right. Multiple cues happening consistently over time. And even then, remember, people are different. What's a sign for one person might just be their personality for another.
True, true. So we got to be careful about jumping to conclusions.
Absolutely. Observation, respect, and trust your gut. If you sense a connection and you're interested, go for it. But always be respectful, you know?
Great advice. So it's about being attentive, open-minded, and having fun with it.
Exactly. Sometimes the best connections, they come from those unspoken moments. The subtle things that speak volumes.
That's a great thought. But before we wrap up completely, is there anything else from the article we should hit on? I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
You know what, you're right. There's one more thing about that feedback loop idea. Remember how we talked about eye contact, the back and forth?
Yeah, how it builds on itself.
Well, the article suggests it applies to other cues too.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about her signals, it's how we respond.
Precisely. Let's say, laughter. She laughs at your jokes. It encourages you to be more playful, more humorous.
Makes sense. Positive reinforcement, right?
And that can make her even more drawn to you.
It's like a dance then. Each person's moves influence the other.
Exactly. But what if you're not, naturally a jokester?
Right. Some of us are a little more serious.
The key is being authentic. Be yourself, but be mindful of the signals you're both sending and receiving.
So finding that balance between being genuine and responsive.
Exactly. It's not about forcing it, but letting the interaction flow naturally.
But what about cultural differences? Wouldn't these cues be interpreted differently depending on where you are in the world?
Oh, absolutely. Cultural norms are huge. What might be flirty in one culture could be totally innocent in another.
Right, right. So while these 7 cues are a good starting point, we need to be aware of the context.
Absolutely. Be observant, pay attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues, and trust your intuition.
Makes sense. And above all, treat everyone with respect.
Always. Now, the article also touched on something I think is crucial to attraction: authenticity.
Authenticity. How does that fit in?
Well, think about it. When you're genuinely yourself, you radiate a certain energy,
The
right?
confidence, a magnetism.
Exactly. Being comfortable in your own skin, letting your true personality shine through.
So it's not about putting on a facade, trying to be someone you're not.
Right. People can sense when you're being inauthentic, and it's a turnoff.
Like trying to squeeze into clothes that don't fit. It just feels wrong.
Exactly. And when you're being yourself, you attract people who appreciate you for who you really are.
That's a powerful thought. It's about finding someone who celebrates your quirks, not someone you have to pretend for.
Now, along those lines, there's also the matter of shared values and interests.
Right. It's not just about physical attraction. It's about connecting on a deeper level.
Exactly. When you share similar values, beliefs, interests, it creates a strong foundation for a relationship.
Like speaking the same language, in a way. Understanding each other's worldview.
But what if you don't agree on everything? I mean, they say opposites attract, right? There's some truth to that. Differences can be exciting, they challenge us to grow, but core values, those are important to have in common.
So respecting each other's perspectives, being open to learning,
Exactly. Embracing those differences, seeing how they can actually enhance the relationship.
make it more dynamic, more interesting. Okay, so we've got authenticity, shared values. What else?
Something essential for any healthy relationship, romantic or otherwise: emotional intelligence.
Ah, that's an interesting one. How does that play into attraction?
Well, emotional intelligence, it's the ability to understand and manage your own emotions and empathize with others.
So being self-aware, recognizing your own feelings, and being sensitive to your partner's feelings as well.
Exactly. It's crucial for creating a safe, trusting environment for connection.
Being able to communicate your needs, listen actively, respond with empathy.
But wouldn't that take time to figure out? You can't just know right away if someone has high emotional intelligence, right? True, it's not always immediately apparent, but you can get a sense through their communication style, how they handle conflict, their self-awareness.
So paying attention to those things, how they interact with you and others.
Exactly. And being aware of your own emotional intelligence, too.
Right, it goes both ways. Being a mindful partner, both emotionally and intellectually.
Now, shifting gears a bit, the article also mentions something that I think is really intriguing: The element of mystery.
Oh, intrigue. Tell me more about that.
Think about when you first meet someone. There's that allure, the unknown. It draws you in.
It's like a puzzle you want to solve, discovering new things about them.
But how do you balance that with being authentic? Aren't we supposed to be open and honest?
Absolutely. It's not about being secretive or playing games. It's about pacing yourself, letting the relationship unfold naturally, leaving room for exploration.
So not revealing everything all at once, keeping a little bit of that spark alive. But remember, mystery shouldn't be confused with playing hard to get or creating drama.
Right, it's about letting things unfold organically.
Okay, now let's lighten things up a bit. We talked about laughter earlier, but a sense of humor, that's essential too.
I was going to say laughter is great, but there's got to be more to it than that, right?
A shared sense of humor, it's like a secret language. It connects you on a deeper level.
Being able to laugh together, finding joy in those everyday moments.
And navigating the tough times with a bit of lightheartedness. But what if you have different senses of humor?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What if one person finds something hilarious and the other is offended?
That's where respect and communication come in, being sensitive to each other's boundaries, willing to compromise.
Recognizing that humor is subjective.
Exactly. Finding that common ground where you can both let loose and enjoy each other's company.
Okay, so we've got authenticity, shared values, emotional intelligence, a sense of humor. Is there anything else that contributes to that long-term spark?
Absolutely. We can't forget about intellectual compatibility.
Right, we touched on that briefly. It's about more than just agreeing on everything, right?
It's about being able to have those stimulating conversations, challenging each other's ideas, growing intellectually together.
Having that mental connection, that spark. But does that mean you need to have the same IQ or agree on every topic?
Not at all. It's about respecting each other's perspectives, being open to learning from each other.
Embracing those differences, seeing how they can actually enhance the relationship.
Make it more dynamic, more thought-provoking.
So it's about that intellectual chemistry, that back and forth that makes conversations exciting. Constantly learning and growing together.
Precisely. And that brings us to another key ingredient: shared goals and aspirations.
Okay, so this goes beyond just shared values, right? This is about the future you want to build together.
Exactly. When you're on the same page about your hopes and dreams, it creates a sense of alignment and purpose.
Like having a shared vision for where you're both headed. But what if your goals are completely different? Does that mean the relationship is doomed?
Not necessarily. It's about being supportive of each other's aspirations, finding ways to integrate your dreams into a shared vision.
So finding that sweet spot where your goals complement each other, creating that sense of synergy.
Exactly. Working together, supporting each other's dreams, finding that common ground.
This is making me realize that lasting attraction is like a multi-layered puzzle with all these pieces fitting together.
It is, isn't it? And speaking of puzzles, there's one more piece we haven't talked about: a sense of adventure.
Oh, I love this one. Adventure, tell me more.
Think about it. When you share a sense of adventure with someone, it keeps the relationship fresh and exciting.
It's about trying new things together, stepping outside your comfort zones.
Embracing spontaneity, saying yes to unexpected opportunities.
But does that mean you have to be like an adrenaline junkie, constantly traveling the world?
Not necessarily. It can be simple things. Exploring a new part of town, trying a new restaurant, taking a different route on your walk.
Finding those little pockets of adventure in everyday life.
Exactly. Those moments that spark joy create that shared sense of discovery.
So it's about that playful, curious spirit, that willingness to try new things.
And that brings us to another crucial aspect: mutual respect and admiration.
Respect, we've talked about. But I'm guessing admiration adds another dimension to it, especially in the long run.
It does. Admiration is about seeing the best in someone, appreciating their qualities, their accomplishments, feeling inspired by who they are.
Recognizing their strengths, celebrating their successes. But what if you don't admire everything about someone? Everyone has flaws, right?
Of course. Nobody's perfect. We have to be realistic. But overall, there should be that foundation of respect and admiration.
Seeing their potential, appreciating what makes them unique.
Exactly. And finally, we can't forget about the glue that holds it all together: effective communication.
We've talked about communication quite a bit, but I have a feeling it's especially important in long-term relationships.
Absolutely. Effective communication is key for navigating the complexities that come up over time.
Being able to listen, express your thoughts and feelings openly, resolve conflicts constructively.
Creating that safe space for dialogue where both partners feel heard and understood, But communication can be tough, especially when things get sensitive. Any tips for doing it well? Well, for starters, choose the right time and place. Don't try to have a serious conversation when you're both stressed or in public.
Makes sense. Create that safe space for open dialogue. What else?
Use I statements. It helps you express your feelings without blaming your partner.
Oh, right, I feel hurt when, instead of you always.
Exactly. And be an active listener. Really pay attention to what your partner's saying, both verbally and non-verbally.
Make eye contact, ask questions, really try to understand their perspective.
And stay focused on the issue at hand. Don't bring up old arguments or unrelated problems.
Easier said than done sometimes, but important.
It is. And be willing to compromise. It's rare to agree on everything, so finding solutions that work for both of you is key.
It's about teamwork, right? Working together to find that common ground.
Exactly. And if you're really struggling, don't hesitate to seek professional help. A therapist can offer guidance and tools for healthy communication.
Sometimes an outside perspective can be really helpful. So it sounds like effective communication is a skill, but also a mindset.
It is. Being mindful of your words and actions, being respectful, and working together.
When you combine that with authenticity, trust, shared values, and all these other ingredients we've talked about,
You create a recipe for a truly fulfilling and lasting relationship.
this deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I've learned so much about attraction, not just the surface stuff, but what really makes connections last.
Me too. It's fascinating how much we communicate without even realizing it.
And it's empowering to know we can cultivate these connections, nurture the relationships that bring joy to our lives.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up completely, I think it's important to acknowledge that things don't always go as planned. What happens when those sparks fizzle out, or when relationships hit a rough patch?
Right. Heartbreak, disappointment, those are real things too.
They are. And in the final part of our deep dive, let's explore those challenges. Let's talk about heartbreak, resilience, and the lessons we learn along the way. So we've talked about all the good stuff, the sparks, the connection, the long-term potential. But let's face it, not every story has a fairy tale ending.
Yeah, reality check time. What about when things don't work out? When those sparks fizzle, or when relationships hit a wall, no matter how hard you try?
It's tough, no doubt, and the article doesn't really delve into this, but heartbreak is a part of life, right?
It is, and it hurts. But I guess it's also a chance to learn and grow, right?
Exactly. Even those relationships that don't last, they teach us something.
About ourselves, about what we want, about what doesn't work.
Exactly. It's like every experience, good or bad, shapes who we are and what we're looking for in a partner.
But picking yourself up after a heartbreak, that's the hard part. It's tempting to just shut down, avoid those feelings.
It's natural to want to protect yourself, but it's important to allow yourself to grieve, to process those emotions.
Sadness, anger, disappointment, all that messy stuff.
It's all part of it. But remember, you are worthy of love and happiness. You will get through this.
Like building resilience, right?
Exactly. And those experiences, they become part of your story. They don't define you, they just add another layer.
Make you stronger, more aware.
And as you heal and move forward, remember, attraction is a journey. It's about staying open to new possibilities.
Keeping that hope alive, knowing there's still so much out there to discover.
Exactly. You never know what amazing connections are waiting around the corner.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. I feel like we've covered so much, from those first glances to the long game of attraction.
Oh, me too. It's been a journey.
And it's a reminder that attraction, in all its forms, is a pretty amazing thing.
It is. It connects us, inspires us, makes life more vibrant.
So to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep believing in the power of attraction.
And remember, sometimes the most unexpected encounters lead to the most extraordinary relationships. So keep your heart open and your mind curious.
Well said. Until next time, keep diving deep into those connections that make life worth living.